Podcasting from the Lone Star State in Southern California, you're listening to the Coma Podcast with Cody and Matt.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to our show. We're so glad that you are joining us today. And oh my goodness, I probably sound way worse. The mic that I normally use, I can't use because my whole setup, my computer monitor has stopped working. So I'm having to just use the laptop as is, which, so gross. And, Matt is joining me as well. And so, oh my gosh, Matt, hi.
Hi. Oh, yeah. I like how you had to, put us where we're supposed to be.
You're on the right side.
Like,
I'm on the left side. And has no political affiliation.
yeah, definitely not.
But everybody, thank you again for joining us for this. Again, you can listen to this anywhere you listen to your podcast if you want to listen to it later. If you can't listen to the whole thing or watch the whole thing, or you can come back to YouTube. And we're here. And also, be sure and check out this most recent episode that was released this week, where we talk about needing time for yourself. It's important to take time for yourself, which a lot of people don't, and most people don't. But, oh, Matt, I just look so horrible. I'm using the archaic Apple camera that is just not great on laptops. I'm not even using
I was gonna put on. So I got some Pride shirts and stuff, and I'm just not wearing one because my office this is the coldest room in the house. So even if the house is 70, all the air mostly flows through this room first, and a lot of times this room gets closed when we're not awake. And with David and I's work schedules, we leave it closed so the cats don't come in here because both of our desks are in here. So. Yeah. So
I do have my Pride nails. I have my Pride nails. They've returned again this year. But yeah, I'm using this archaic setup, and it's just ridiculous. I actually started to work in the office, my little office setup, earlier this week, I guess. Yeah, this week. And so I was, basically what I do is I plug in one cord to the laptop, which charges the laptop and connects it to my mic, my cameras, my whole setup and system, and hard drives. Well, my monitor decided to not work. My monitor has gone out, my big monitor. But that means I can't do anything. So I just have to use this laptop. Oh.
Wow. I'm really sorry you're having to live in Peasantville. As I talk to you.
It's funny.
Really difficult in San Diego, California.
Oh, you know it.
God, you're like the fucking starving children of Beverly Hills. Susan Sarandon, where are you? I need a Sarah McLachlan song, stat.
Oh my God. Don't you think that I could totally be on a Real Housewives type show? I'd have to invite you on, they always have a friend visit or something.
What would be your tagline?
Oh my God. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I feel like everybody thinks about it. Also, I was in the middle of cutting my hair earlier, and so I haven't done the top. So I look a mess, everybody. I'm so sorry that you're even having to look at this.
I think first of all, nobody's ever commented about what we wear, which is really surprising because I'm usually dressed like crap.
First of all, let's just say your lighting is on point today. It looks good.
I put a lamp on David's desk, which is right behind my laptop. So instead of looking like I've just been resurrected or just left the hospital in a zombie movie, I'm kind of going with I woke up 3 hours ago. So we're really improved today.
The other day at Costco, we were shopping, and there was literally a lady that was this white. So you're not resurrected.
Have her take a 23andMe test. She might be my relative. Y'all see my nudes. I'm really white, correct?
You're not as white as this. This was quite whoa.
This is very colorful for me. I actually have a skin tone right now. So I actually have a solid underwear line because of, being outside this last couple months. Speaking of 23andMe, I got an email today from them saying, Dad's gift can be in the mail tomorrow if you order now, like one of the specials. And I texted it to my aunt. I'm like, somehow I don't think any of my dads would appreciate this thoughtful gesture by me. I just, I think
Okay,
I've reached enough.
also, that's a stupid gift to give your dad. Even obviously yours is a funny situation, like the whole background. If you haven't, people, go check it out. Previous podcast talking about Matt's family and DNA. But that is a dumb gift to give a dad. It's like the whole thing, like with moms. Like you walk in the store and they have the whole setup for Mother's Day, and it's like mixers and aprons
Aprons,
and
yeah.
all of that stuff. Why? Why? Be thoughtful. Don't give like a stupid,
Right.
like,
If you're going to
dad's
be,
always like a grilling, getting like a little
well, I
like
mean, it can be
spatula
one of
or
those
like,
things, like some people do their family trees, and it can be a really helpful tool. Like, literally, I only did it to do a family tree because my mom had asked me for it for a really long time. And I thought, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll sit down and finally do this. And
and everybody. Also, I'm not hating on the DNA
I
thing
mean,
because I have done 23andMe and Ancestry. I love them. If you've not done them, do it because it's really fun and interesting. I know people have issues with DNA, and we actually did an episode on that. We need to
yeah,
read because that was
we
one of
did.
our initial
Yeah, I would really like to do
episodes
it, but
talking about
more
DNA
where we
health.
have we can do it to where we have like some background and graphics to edit in, and we kind of just let me talk about it with like a background. It's like, okay, this is mom, this is
I know
dad.
we need a chart. Like I don't know if you had it. Obviously, you grew up and you worked at a church.
Yeah,
But I remember in Sunday school, and I don't know if it happened in school too. I would assume it would because it would be like the same kind of thing. Like that's just how things work. But I remember that you would have like a felt board, I believe, and there would be like little cutouts. I don't know, Mary, Joseph. I don't know, Bible story
yeah,
things,
or
and
like Christmassy stuff.
they would stick to the felt. I'm
Yeah,
assuming you also used it at school too, because that would make sense. But I feel like
we
you
used it
need
at,
something like that. I feel like you need something like that that can move
yeah.
around, and you can be like,
There's
"Take this
that.
one away. That's not my dad."
Well, I would rather have one like a dry erase one that like maybe we do in like almost like a key point or a keynote, and where it's like an actual graphic and then I just voice it over. It's like, this is
Well,
mom, pink triangle. This is dad, blue circle. And then
if we had the money, we could be like Steve Kornacki or any of the other people on election nights or different things where they draw the telestrator and they draw on like maps and stuff. If we had the
yeah.
money, we could do that.
Oh God.
And then
Well,
you could write things to be like, if this one was.
but I almost need like a drag and drop because it just got wild.
I
But yeah,
know.
I got that. And then, so, I've been off school this summer. But one thing I wanted to talk about was, I talk about healthcare a lot because, I'm a nursing student and I work in healthcare now. And I want to talk about something that happened. I have not talked to you about it this week. I've barely spoken this week because it was a really bad situation. And I still don't actually know if I'm going to go back to work. I go back to work this Saturday. And I still haven't decided if I'm going to email my director and officially resign. So something that happened. This is something that happens, and it's been one of my worst fears in healthcare ever. This has been something I have always been afraid of because we all know that false accusations can ruin somebody's life. They don't have to be true. We can all think of that person in school who had a rumor, it was either the whore, the selfish kid, the poor kid, whatever it was. It didn't have to be true, but it followed them throughout their entire high school life and likely made their life hell. So last week I worked 3 days in a row. I worked 3 night shifts. So what that is basically 6:45 p.m. to 7:15 a.m. And we have a 30 bed floor. So I have to give you kind of limited information because there are things I can't say. Just assume I had 15 patients to myself for 3 straight nights. And most of them were there the whole time. So it's inpatient care. So I have most of the same patients, so they know me, and they have pretty much similar nurses are on. So, changing 1 or 2, barring most of it. And we had a patient who is not necessarily with it. And that's not why they were there, but a lot of times on my floor, people are there for various other reasons. But you have to remember, when you're in the hospital, like if I go to the hospital for a sinus infection, I still have a cleft palate. I still have this other immune issue. Like that is still a present thing that can flare up at any time or cause a complication or a problem, no matter what I'm in the hospital for. So please remember that when we were talking about when you get angry with patients or why are somebody's being impatient, they may not be cognitively there. And so it can be very difficult to remember that. And a patient said that an unidentified male attacked her in her room. It was my patient, and I was not named or anything like that, but I was the only male tech on the floor because there's not a lot
Mm-hmm.
of. And again, this has been my patient for days, and when this happens, as you can imagine, of course we take this very seriously, and I get called over. Now, this is at the end of 3 days, so I've basically been at work for 40 straight hours. I've gone home, slept all day, got up, went straight to work, worked all night, slept all day, right back to work. And these are grueling shifts, and it's a large patient load on what's called a high acuity floor. Everybody's very, very, very sick, so that's my whole night. So it does not really stop, and that's okay. That's what I signed up for. I expect that, but I'm exhausted, and I'm being told what's happened, and then I kind of realize kind of what's being said. And if you have to read between the lines here, because again, I can't say too much. That's why I never talk about where I work or anything like that. But we're going, how could this have happened? Because it does not matter if somebody's cognitively there or not. You need to take it seriously because you may not have always had eyes on your patient. Now, nobody thought I did anything wrong, but I have been a student there since January and a transition to employee a month or so ago. So that's not a good thing. Now, everybody knows I am absolutely gay as fuck. My charge nurse outed me to the entire floor at shift changeover because this happened at shift changeover as I'm trying to give a report to the new person who's
Mm-hmm.
training, and the person she was supposed to be training with never showed up. So I'm giving a report to this person who's only been on the floor for 3 days. So I'm giving them extra information and telling them, yes, I will stay here for a few minutes and kind of get you going and make sure you're okay because I'm not going to send this person. Because there were a few people. There is one person that was somebody that I don't want them alone with,
Mm-hmm.
not with a patient. And so you have to remember, it does not matter that in no way could this have happened in the sense
Yeah.
of, for example, like the way the floor is designed, this would have been nearly impossible. And for the amount of time, there's weird specifics. But you have to remember, it does not matter if you know it didn't happen and your staff doesn't know it didn't happen. Somebody who may not be fully cognitively there believes it happened. That is where you start. And then you have to work backwards. And so this happened Sunday morning, and I'm literally getting ready to leave when this is all happening, and I'm told you can't leave, you have to stay. And I'm going, oh my God. So a house supervisor who's pretty much, they're the person that kind of disperses staff among the hospital. It's like, oh, hey, we have 50,000 techs on this floor, but 3 on this floor. We need to shift them,
Mm-hmm.
it's that person. So they come up. I've never met him in my life. And he is just like, why were you in that room? What do you do here? Why are you? I'm like, well, you're literally one of our supervisors. On my floor, my job is blood sugars, blood pressures, vital signs, whatever the patient might need that's, not in a like a clinical decision. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I got the trash and stuff like that. I'm a tech
Yeah.
and or extern, sorry. And then security comes, then the police come. And yeah, I am standing there absolutely shitting my pants. And I'm also beyond exhausted. Like, I am tired. By the point that somebody's again now talking to me, I should have been home 10 minutes before that. And I live a drive, not a long drive, but about a moderate drive away. And I'm already
Mm-hmm.
tired. I'm hitting the point where okay, another half hour, I'm going to call an Uber. And I'm texting David. I'm like, you're not going to believe this shit. Police ended up not wanting to speak with me. They were like, well, let's talk to the patient's physician, the family when they get here. So this is Sunday, and they had me write a statement to directors of, I don't change patients without somebody being present with me, especially being a guy. I will not change
Mm-hmm.
any female patients alone. And I'm very aware of that, because it's not something you should be aware of that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just something you should do. Don't change patients alone if you don't have to. Apparently, everybody else on every other floor doesn't have to do this, but we do. I did not change this patient. I literally went in there at one point, take her blood pressure, and moved on. But it didn't matter. I was the assigned tech to that room for the night. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday go by, and I've heard nothing. And by the way, my brain is fucking melting, because my school has a contract with this hospital. Some of us do our clinicals there. This could be devastating. It does not even have to be true to follow me for the rest of my career. That hasn't hardly started yet. And then a staff member calls me to ask a scheduling question last night. And I was like, I answered the question, and I'm trying to be patient. And finally I was like, can you tell me what the fuck is up? Because I have been sweating bullets all week. This is horrifying to me. And not to mention, I know I didn't do anything wrong, but did somebody attack my patient? Like, because if somebody did, then was I not watching close enough? How did this happen? How would this have possibly gotten by me? Because this is somebody very close, very closely. And it turns out that this is something that the patient has said before. The family's aware of it, and it's nobody's in trouble, no nothing. But they're like, oh, well, nobody called and told you?
Oh my gosh.
So for 5 fucking days, you can imagine how I felt all week. I pretty much, I've been somewhat active on Twitter to try to distract myself, but mostly I've just been curled up into a ball, laying in bed, and I've not wanted to talk to anybody. I've just been because I know I didn't do anything wrong, but the idea that could be attached to me just is absolutely just horrifying to me. And also, and should it been true, oh my God, my patient, because this is not somebody that could defend themselves. And I mean, I don't care how I feel at that point. If my patient really had been attacked, that's absolutely just, I've had a very long week, and I don't want to go back to work tomorrow. I really don't. I've struggled all week with this. When I left work Sunday, now I never make a decision when I'm upset. That is my rule. Same as I have a cocktail with dinner when I'm upset. I will not, because I know myself and I know what my family is like. So I know exactly what I will turn into. I don't have to question it. Most of the time I have to burn my own hands to figure it out if it's something I haven't seen before. I know the end of that answer. I know what will happen. So I have wrestled with this all week. I talked to a classmate. One of my classmates is my coworker. And again, they have not one in any way thought I did anything wrong. They were very reassuring. And I have thought I have been overly sensitive about this. I actually called Dr. Jake last night. I talked to him maybe a half hour before the staff called me. And he's like, and he was explaining his mentality on, if he needs to go check somebody, he'll grab another nurse and say, hey, come in with me. Because, when you do things like one of the things we do is called skin check. So, people that lay in bed all the time, you need to routinely look and make sure, they don't have a bed sore, a rash. A lot of things can happen just laying in bed. They get the blankets or cords wrapped up under them, and that can create sores and all sorts of problems for your patient. So you want to be really careful. And he was telling me how he even gets somebody like, hey, can you just come stand in the room with me while I do this? And I came home Sunday. I cried. So David has seen me cry maybe 3 to 5 times in my entire 10 years I've known him. And I cried the entire way home from work. Now, again, I will add that I was beyond tired. Even though I'd slept every day that I came home a correct amount, we're very understaffed, not short-staffed, understaffed. We have a massive team. And I railed against this even when I was a student, and you guys have heard me talk about safe staffing a lot. And now I one of the reasons I waited to get into the field to really be able to share about it, because I've known about it for a very long time from the other side of working the other side of the field. And this could have been totally prevented. Like, this didn't need to happen. And I'm glad the family was so forthcoming and let us know. And because obviously for the supervisors and directors, this will come straight back to them and create a huge ass mess. And I felt like if something had been questioned, I would have been tossed. They will throw you under the bus. You know, Disney almost fired me in 2007 because a kid got they had a food allergy. We brought out, the chef brings out the correct food. They didn't like how it tasted and they wanted something changed. The wires got crossed in the kitchen. They got the wrong food and protocol was slightly breached because they didn't like their food. And I was almost fired. And I was told verbatim, Matt, we might have to fire you anyway so that we can be seen taking action. And I'm like, I didn't even hand them anything. I didn't do it. I wasn't like I put in the wrong order and forgot to tell somebody about a food allergy. I did all the right things and was almost fired for it. And this was like that on steroids. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I mean, obviously, once the staff member told me last night, was like, you know, everything's fine. That's been taken care of. The family was let us know what's happening, which obviously made me feel a whole lot better in a lot of ways. But in other ways, I didn't even want to go back to school in fall. Like I was very much like, everything about the nursing process, it's not nursing because I'm not there yet. It's the process of getting there. It's designed to be soul crushing because it is not kept up with the times. It is very much set in ancient history, and they've not really updated themselves. They think it's just like, oh, we just crush you and you deal with it. And it's like, that's not an effective way to build confident, solid nurses that feel confident working, because you can't be overconfident. When you come out of nursing school, you still don't, you learn it on the job. There is no like, you walk out of nursing school and you're a nurse. Yeah, I'm board certified, but that's not, you know, it's like when you do a new job, you do your training, but when you walk onto the floor, all you've had are some modules and you don't really know until you put it to practice. That's why you have residencies and you have your coworkers and your managers and leaders and, you know, an effective support leadership team to build you into this nurse. And that takes a while. That is not a 6-month process. That is not even a year. That's like a 3-year journey. And this was kind of like one of those like really big straws that, you know, like a straw that breaks the camel's back. It was a really big one. And I'm sitting there all Sunday, all Monday, all Tuesday. And David had to work, I think, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. And I have laid in bed. I can tell I'm really stressed about it because it totally set off a flare up. Like my cheeks, like they're not as red right at this moment, but the last couple of days they've just been bright pink. And my feet and my hands are ice cold most of the day, which are those are my baseline symptoms that appear first when my body flares. The next is the light aches, which I do have, but very manageable. And so it tells me like this is a very serious thing that I need to reconcile it and decide what to do. And I'm like, so I had applied for another job that was full-time with a very functional schedule. It's at a place that's 5 minutes from my house, and it's a medical facility, and it's more specialized and same job title, very different responsibilities. I don't have to wipe butt there. I mean, part of medical is if it needs done, you just do it. I mean, I know people always tell me, oh, I could never do that. It's when you're sitting at your desk at home talking about cleaning up somebody, you're like, ugh, I don't think I could ever do that. When you're in the hospital with a bunch of sick people, somebody needs changed, you want to help them because they need change. Because if it was you or your parents or somebody you cared about, they shouldn't need to be your parents for you to not want someone to sit and poop. I mean, that should be pretty basic. And usually you just kind of grab someone and like 5 minutes later, it's dealt with. Sometimes 20 minutes, depending the situation. Sometimes an hour if it's a situation. And that's okay. That's all right. Like you just deal with it. But the situation that I'm talking about, I wanted to bring it up because it's incredibly serious, and it's something that people face in healthcare, because shitty people do exist. Shitty people do work in healthcare sometimes, and bad things have happened. That's why I'm not angry about it, and I'm not in any way angry with my patient. This isn't it's there's more to it, but I can't share publicly. I can't share it because that would be revealing way too much information, but just trust me, I'm not in any way upset with my patient because they're not there. And they weren't reporting me. They were reporting a situation that happened in their head. And I just happened to be in the line of fire. There was one other male staff member that night working in the same hallway. He just was assigned to different rooms as a nurse, and I was the tech. And so, as you can see, it's like, I don't know if I'm conveying how much it bothers me because I'm really bad at expressing my emotions. But I'm doing my best to stay calm because I will start to stutter. So I don't know if I'll have to watch the playback later to see how I did with this, but I could barely fucking speak Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And I came home and I ate a ton of comfort food Monday and Tuesday, just a metric ton. And that is not like me. I don't usually eat I joke about it, but I really don't eat my feelings past like maybe Panda Express once. I have eaten so much this week that I normally would not eat, which isn't good because I had really done a really good job of not doing that. And I've really gotten to way better shape, and I'm doing a lot better. I'm feeling a lot better, but it's a massive setback. And I'm sitting here considering, do I want to resign my job before I went through a lot to get this job, and I don't even really want it, but I understand the importance of it. But we were also told in my job that literally before my hiring paperwork was what it was offered to me as and what I'm going to do changed quite a bit. Pretty much we're being told if the nurses are okay with us doing certain things, we have to build our rapport with them. And I'm like, if you were as a director comfortable hiring me, then the staff should probably help train me into being a nurse, because that's the whole fucking point of my job title, as well as several. I'm not the only one. There's a whole team of us that work throughout the hospital, and they've been allowed to just pretty much dial us back. And because they schedule me alone with one other person, I'm assigned 15 people on a 30 patient floor. It can be more than that. And that's it. And I've just been told, you'll just have to deal with it. And then when you're a nurse, you'll turn in your brown scrubs for some navy blue scrubs, and you'll be a nurse here. And I'm like, I won't be a nurse here. Thank you, though. But you always want to exit gracefully. I can't express that enough in our field. Like, it is not, I'm expressing this to you because I'm upset about a different situation. But if I choose to not proceed, it is not the director's fault. Like, they have to go by what the hospital determines as the best course of action, and it doesn't matter if I agree with it. That is just what it is right now. That is the policy, and that's just what you abide by. But it's not what I signed up for, and that's what the difficult part is. David is having a much different experience. He works one floor below me, has a totally different experience, and I'm happy. I am so happy. He is having a really good experience with this.
Yeah.
And which is great. And he was very supportive. Just so you all know, David is wonderful about these things. I worked in the same industry for many, many years prior to changing towards nursing. I've worked in and around medical for a very, very long time. And he was just like, it seems like, so he was hired, the role he was hired for, that's what he is. And that's expected. I'm basically David's role, but on my floor with 10,000 more duties, because every other floor does not do what we do. So I have like twice the amount of duties, twice the amount of patients, and half the help. And yeah, it's great. It's just fucking great. But on that, what my point is that these situations are real, and don't for a second think, one, that your job might not throw you under the bus, even if you did nothing wrong. It's totally possible, because sometimes not doing anything wrong isn't good enough, and you have to be cognizant of that. we call it, CYA, cover your ass, always. But also, when you're in these situations, always make sure you have a second set of eyes with you. Not just a family member, not just somebody in the hallway, not some random, another staff member, another person, another tech, like something in these situations. It's the same reason why in insurance we have recorded statements. So we give the person a chance to tell their entire side of the story, and then that's recorded and transcribed. And that way, if they contest anything, we're like, well, did you want to add? You can always add something, but if you said something, you said it, and it's your word. It's not edited. We don't edit anything. If it cuts off, we have to delete it and do it again. That's how it works. So, I guess my point is protect yourselves, be aware, and it's one thing when people say things like, well, if you didn't do anything, what are you worrying about? It's another thing when you're sitting there on the receiving end of that, looking at a police officer, a security officer, your house supervisor, a charge nurse, and the on-day charge nurse, and they're all staring at you. Even though they know, 3 of them know you and say you didn't do anything wrong, and one of them's like, well, he couldn't. And like, beyond all of this, he's gay. Now, I am open, but I'd like to point out that she does not know that I'm super open about it. The oncoming charge nurse was like, I did not know that about Matt. Because she was like, his husband literally works in this hospital. He does not even go in there to do these kinds of things. He will not even change a patient without somebody else present, which is how it's supposed to be, but he's very vocal about it. And those are good things. Like, that means I'm following procedure and I'm enforcing it and I'm very public about it. Because, patients, like, a lot of times the female techs just change patients and it's not really a big deal, But it's different. It shouldn't be, but it's different. It just is. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Right now, that's what's up. And after 40 hours of solid work and taking care of the same person for 3 days, so you find out that you're possibly the face of an accusation, and you're like, and contemplating totally ending your career, because what if the family decided to make it a money grab? It happens. It absolutely happens. One of my husband's colleagues was accused of sexual assault because they did Foley care, which is a Foley catheter is when somebody can't pee or something isn't working right. They just kind of put a catheter in there and let them pee. You have to, those sit inside you, part of it. So those need cleaned, like the outer tubing and stuff. You make sure it's clean. You make sure that whole area is wiped down and antimicrobial, because you can get UTI, get really bad infections there. The family accused him of sexual assault. So he was immediately suspended for 2 days while they investigated. That's standard procedure. And of course they were like, they investigated. He did nothing wrong. But how fucking haunting to have your career, because he was I think an LPN, so he's licensed for that, and transitioning into a nurse, like an RN BSN role.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? That could end your career or attach a stigma to you that, it doesn't have to be true. Like, oh, Matt over there, they said he's gay, but now I do not care what people think of me 99% of the time. This is different. This is very different. This is something that could impact the rest of my life. And people take their own lives over false accusations when the accusations don't go away. You see the way, like, people mob people online sometimes when they didn't do anything wrong, or, people get fixated, and it gets really scary. And I'm like, please God, let this family be aware of what's going on with this patient, because I didn't understand. And if I did, I couldn't have processed it at 7:10 on Sunday morning. But also, I think letting me fucking swing in the wind until Thursday night, and nobody, like, well, who would have fucking called me? I was like, well, I haven't been in this week. I wasn't scheduled till Saturday. They're like, oh, well, just so you know. And they're all like cheerful about it. And she's like, I'm so sorry. Somebody should have called you. I know this is like horrifying for you. And I'm like, I've been sitting here for 5 days at home, and they had it resolved by noon on Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I chose not to pick up any shifts all week. Chose not to do anything extra. I mean, and the longer it went on, the more I was like, I really don't want to go back. I don't want to. My stomach is in knots thinking about going back tomorrow night. I just don't know what to do, to be honest. And so I'm up for a second interview for that other job. It's not secured or anything. And my instincts tell me to just kind of suck it up and try to put on a good face and do this job, because I work night shift. And it's just like, it's really hard to put on a good face when you're just like, you're your stomach is in knots, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I already didn't want to work in this division, but I knew it would be really great experience. And I'm learning so much. Like I see so much, but I'm still not going to ever be able to use my skills. And I'm expected to just basically change people for the next year. And that's it. And I'm like, that is not what I signed on for. And I will tell you $17 an hour for that much, for what my task list is. And by the way, in the midst of all the things I'm supposed to do, I'm required to, our patients' numbers are, room numbers like 1 through 30. They're supposed to do the even number baths during the day and the odd numbers at night, because it's too much to do 30 of them in one day, because we're 2 people. We have those antimicrobial like bath wipes, and then we have a different kind of wipe that we do right after, that creates a film to protect you from things like MRSA, staph infections, stuff that you can get in a hospital, and it has a high success rate of keeping the patient clean and safe without having to do the bucket of water and scrubbing them with rags, because that's archaic. Our floor, literally my first week on the floor alone, they're like, oh, by the way, we're bringing back bed baths. And they're like, oh, the whole hospital's doing it. They're not, just my floor. That we have to bring the bucket of water to them with fresh rags. Do you know how long a bed bath takes on a person that can't move very well?
Oh my gosh.
And then after that, I need to do the wipes. If you walk into my room at midnight and say, hey, I'm here to give you a bed bath, I will tell you to get the fuck out of my room, because it's midnight. Now, the occasional person is insomniac and they're like, hey, can I please, I would love to have a bath. I feel gross. Absolutely. We'll still ask, but if you feel gross and you want one, let's go. I got you. But that's with the wipe. The wipes are easy. And they work. Those things, we'll get in there. And two of us do that. And a lot of times people are independent enough where they can do their front and their chest and everything, and then we'll wipe everything that they can't reach. We have shampoo caps, and we have a warmer for them, so we try to keep them as comfortable as possible, keep everything covered and be covered while they're doing it, because you want them to be comfortable. I would want to be cared for that way. And so when you add that by itself, it's like, oh my god. And then they at the end of that same meeting, they're like, oh, by the way, you're supposed to weigh the patient every day. Okay, so the bed will weigh you. Only way to do it, because if it didn't get done during the day, you have to do it at night. The only way to do it is you have to do what's called zeroing out the bed, where you kind of reset it to 0. Hi, your patient in this floor, they're not getting up very well at all. And they might be sleeping a certain way. Well, you can't just let them sit there. You have to flatten the bed out and then hit start and let it reset itself. It's not happening at 1 o'clock in the morning. And some people, you can't lay them flat on their back. You just have a tube down their throat. There are things you can't do, and you're just like, this isn't happening. And I'm like, why do this? And we have the staff we are understaffed intentionally. When they bring in a third person, they'll just float them out to another floor. I'm like, why? It's all about money. So yeah, it's not a rant. It's a discussion of this happened. This really did happen to me the other day. And I can tell you the impact it has had on me in real time. That when you asked if I wanted to do a live tonight, I almost said no. I was just my instinct was to say, no, I don't want to talk. I have avoided most conversation and most anybody this week because I just don't want to talk. And this has been in my head, so this is what's been repetitively playing in my head, so that's what I want to talk about. But this seemed like a good way to share about it. 1, get it off my chest. But 2, to explain, this is something we see. This is something I'm seeing right now in the very beginning of my career. And and I'm still sitting here going, I don't know what to do. I don't want to give up my job, but I don't want to go back to work Saturday. So I'm sitting here I kind of want to go throw out I just ate, and I kind of want, just talking about it, I kind of want to get up and go vomit. I am sitting here fighting nausea while we're talking about it. I want you guys to know that. I am not being dramatic. I am 100% drinking that water because I'm trying to keep my Panda Express in place. Because, oh my God, I don't want to associate Panda Express with that because I will never eat again.
No, don't do that. Don't associate it with Panda.
Yeah. So that's been my adventure, and we haven't spent a lot of time talking about too many serious issues on here because we've tried to keep everything kind of lighter because the news cycle is just, we all know what's going on in the news. We've tried to not rehash it. We're trying to not, we didn't want the podcast to turn into trauma porn, because the first season was about crime against our community, and it wasn't meant to glorify it. It wasn't for clicks and likes, which is why we try to talk about just the facts, just our thoughts on it, but keep it very concise and not draw it out, because when you're picking apart these things, you're picking apart people's lives, literally.
Yeah.
And in the case of all the mass shootings we've seen, Pulse was 6 years ago this coming week. And, I don't know what to say. I don't want to rehash all of it and make everybody relive it. And so it's like, we want to acknowledge it. Yes, these things are happening, but I don't want to speculate on it. I would just encourage everybody to, I'm not saying watch all the horrifying videos, but be aware of what's happening. Don't go numb to it. I know it's terrible, but don't go numb, because it won't help. Johnny Apollo, I come in with a comedic tone during a serious topic. My bad. Girl, do not even worry about that. You always apologize to me, and I could not give less of a fuck, because I have more than one time kicked open a door to be like, David, guess what? And he's in the middle of jerking off. Okay, so let's get past that. You're totally allowed to come in with a comedic tone. I can't express to you my bad timing in my own life. You're personally welcome to show up in a public forum with a comedic tone, because generally we keep everything very lighthearted. It's totally fine. Chris Pettis, Matt, please come back to Florida. I will visit, but I will not move back there. The plan is we are moving to a blue state. That is just happening. At the end of nursing, we are done. We're probably going to leave Texas and go to a blue state. It's just not going to be feasible and functional for us, because if Obergefell falls, it will, gay rights, gay marriage, or equality and all that will go back to state rights. And in 2 seconds, Texas will vote us down the next day. That's just reality. So we kind of have to protect ourselves a little bit. But yeah. But in less traumatic news, and I'm not trying to traumatize everybody, which is why I chose to use my own situation, because it's something real. It's happening right now. It's now resolved. If it wasn't resolved, I wouldn't have talked about it at all. But it is resolved, but I've explained. I just wanted to show you guys something totally real, and how important it is, again, to communicate. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the people you're interacting with and caring for. I know a lot of us are in the healthcare field, are going into the healthcare field, transitioning to it, moving through it. This just does happen. This shouldn't be normalized, but it does. That's just it. I will say, speaking of traumatizing people, and because I'm a little bit of a bastard and a bad person, the guy that my grandmother married, I learned that he was part of the, the People's Convoy, that big trucker convoy back in early winter. And so I keep tabs on them. What's interesting is I noticed, so they're from Florida, and I don't feel bad about this at all, so I don't care. But his posts of MDS Transport were all over the place on Facebook, and talking about how the truckers were this and this, because basically they were like, we've been infiltrated by Antifa. I'm like, oh my fucking God. So then I looked up and I saw that the addresses were starting to not match. And information is because, I'm an investigator at heart. This is just what I do. And I keep tabs on my family from afar, even if they don't want anything to do with me and I don't really like them. It's still important to know who's still alive. I learned that there's another address now affiliated with that company, and they are in Tennessee. And I find that very interesting. I was like, where were you on January 6th? Just out of curiosity. I'm just wondering. And have I been scouring those pictures and the who's who? Absolutely. Do I follow the sedition tracker who has been tracking all of the people throughout all last year and a half? Yeah, I have. This guy believes that Ashley Babbitt is an American a hero, and I'm just like, okay, come back to me. Okay, you get back to me. All right, but so I'm like, whew. So well, because you have to have Facebook and Instagram to dig around on Facebook and Instagram now to really put a damper on my stalking. But I don't stalk everybody, just this one because he actually concerns me because I've not heard from my grandmother in almost 3 years, the one that raised me, and I think now because we don't get along because of him. He's a giant bastard. But she supports him, so have fun with that. I will not support that at all. And he keeps getting suspended off Twitter because I don't know why. It couldn't be because some random homo saw him making threats against female members of Congress. I don't know who. Bless you. I don't know who would have reported that repeatedly from multiple accounts. I mean, I don't know. Fucking jinkies. And or who went through and reported all of his fake followers. Damn. And then both of his accounts got two of his accounts got suspended. I was like, damn, double homicide. Oh.
You guys don't get on Matt's bad side.
All you pretty much have to do is not be a domestic abusing son of a bitch. The bar is rather low. I mean,
hopefully you don't. Hopefully, there's not many people associated with you that are like that, so you won't have to.
Well, after getting that 23andMe email about $50 off or whatever for Ancestry for a Dad's Day gift, and I'm like, I don't think any of my dads would appreciate this. Like I would say, oh, this lines up. I just love it when shit like that lines up. It could not have timed itself any better.
Y'all, I feel like we need to find Matt a new daddy.
Oh God, no. Oh no.
right, everybody, right? We were walking through the mall. Gabe is in town this week for a little break, and we were walking in the mall, and they have those people in the middle of the mall, like handing out like little testers of like lotions or face stuff. Anyway, normally they skip guys. They mainly are going for females and women. But we were walking, and the guy reached out, and Gabe was nearest him, and he was like, "Here you go, Daddy."
Wow.
I was like,
that is really brave.
Yeah.
That is really brave. Oh my God.
So I've been teasing Gabe that now he's officially a daddy. But I also pointed out the fact that daddy these days, you can be 18 and be a daddy, because it's just a figure of speech.
The state of
these
mind.
days. Yeah. Because I've seen many times you going through threads on Twitter and you have like a 20-year-old, and then there's like maybe like a 30-year-old, and the 20-year-old is being like, "Call me daddy. I want to be the daddy." Yes, daddy.
Everything hurts.
Johnny and Paula, what are you talking about? No, you cannot. I can't what? They do that too. They do. Oh, they say you're a daddy as well? Oh my gosh. This is awesome. I'm going straight for Lent. Daddy.
Oh, yikes.
I also have my string of pearls here. Yeah, everybody. And Johnny, yeah, we haven't had a set schedule. Matt obviously has been in school, and then before that, I was having my anxiety break, and yeah,
back to work. Well, I went back to work, and that kind of like
Yeah.
stopped me in my tracks. Our set schedule kind of disappeared probably in March. The hope was to bring it right back for summer and kind of continue it and get all our stuff recorded, but we're kind of being tripped up by my backwards ass work schedule. So I'm basically up all night and sleeping from like 10 to 6, 10 to 5 every day to be up at work for a night. And then when I'm not at work, my schedule's so backwards. And I'm not particularly loving it. I've always been a night owl, but now that I have so much other stuff to do, it's just not working. But working at night in a hospital is so much easier because you don't have providers and every other person like tripping over themselves, moving down the hall. Like there's just room to work, you know. And it's like, damn it, I don't want to go to days, but I think I'm gonna probably request. I'm probably have to request it, or I'm not gonna do it. I mean, again, I still
Yeah.
don't even want to go back. So
Yeah. But yeah, Johnny, if you haven't, we did have a new episode come out this week. Check it out. Video version available. I recommend the video version because it's great to watch us talk about topics, but you can listen to it. But we talked about and Matt rolled his eyes at me when I said this in the podcast. But this past week's episode was misconceptions or misconceptions about sex.
I watched the playback myself, and as soon as you said it, I audibly like sighed, and so did like Video Me, and I forgot about it because we recorded that a while ago, and so I thought that was funny. I just texted you, Cody. So I posted a picture today because I missed Throwback Thursday, and David saw this picture and was like, "Wow, I forgot you were built like that." Did you just get it?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, fit Matt.
Y'all, daddy's in the house.
Oh God. Hi, Jonathan. Um,
Hello.
so
Um,
yeah, that was one of those throwback pictures of like that was 2015. That was I think the year before. Um, that was just before I got promoted and took the job in Austin, Texas.
I
Yeah,
mean, this image, like, you could be like working, it's problematic, everybody, yes, I know. But you could have been working at Abercrombie and Fitch with
So
this
somebody actually
body.
commented that. My friend Austin commented that he's like, "Okay, Abercrombie," which is just really funny because I don't know how much it looks like, but I'm probably 120 at most, maybe 120, 125 in this picture. I had gotten a little bit of weight on me, and I was like on track to get up to that like low, healthier weight. I moved, and then moving and selling your house and changing career. I wasn't changing careers. I got promoted to another state. It's very stressful.
Nice
So
body, though. Nice body. Um,
and Cody's like
Johnny
all
says,
distracted over there. You okay?
Johnny said, the Pride misconceptions about sex edition. Already watched. Good job for you. Next week we're going to have an episode where we talk to Dr. Jake and we talk about different things concerning sex and prep and pep and all of that stuff and sexually transmitted diseases and all the things that again still has to do with sex. So the Pride episodes continue next week with sex. And I do want to also mention anybody who's here, if any of you know a LGBTQ person who is selling products or doing things, has their own little small business going, let me know so we can talk to them, because we like to at least like post about them on Twitter or whatever so that they can get y'all's business, because it's always important to shop first at these little small owned businesses who have some great stuff. uh, I know there's people who make great like swimsuits and underwear and different shirts and
Right.
different things. So, but if y'all know anybody who we should promote or we could talk to, who would like to just chat with us a little bit about how they started their little business, let us know so we can talk to them. But yes, next week, Dr. Jake will be our episode where we talk more about sex.
I always like when we talk to Dr. Jake.
I guess Pride is all about sex. so far for us.
Like, that conception is just awful.
I actually talked about it in
Oh my
Justin.
God.
Johnny, wasn't it good? Misconceptions? I think it's great. I think it's great. Also, we learned that Matt would have gills
Oh yeah, I watched the
if
animal.
he
I
was to
totally
swap.
forgot.
If
Cody
you were to
asked me,
swap
yeah, he was like, if you could choose
animal
one
parts.
animal part, which animal and what part would it be? And I was like, you're gonna have to edit out some of this because I couldn't stop staring at Cody because I was trying to think of an answer, and I chose gills because being able to swim and breathe underwater. And I was
That was a really
very
good
proud
one.
of myself. And
That was
then
a good one.
yours was the monkey to the
The
tail,
tail.
right? And and not we went totally different directions. PG ones, by the way.
No. Well, okay.
Like,
Okay. I will have to say though, mine was PG because they're talking about holding different things. Like if you're like trying to like hold a cup and you're coming in from the store and you have groceries in multiple bags, a tail would come in handy. But when you said something and I thought you were meaning something else that wasn't PG, but then you
yeah, and
did.
I was
It was
totally being PG.
your
I mean,
answer was
the
PG.
look of horror. You can see the flash of horror in Cody's eyes before he
Basically,
realized that.
I
Oh, I
thought
know
you were
what
gonna
you
say
thought.
you
Yeah.
wanted a tail so you could jerk off.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
You just had to
Imagine,
vocalize that, didn't you?
yes, I do. Imagine you were having a threesome, an orgy, or whatever. 2 hands and a tail.
Stop. No.
Johnny, I'm
No.
already grounded. I'm already grounded before I even said anything. Y'all, we've come up on an hour already. I know it's crazy. Um, yeah. Also, we're gonna have Bree back on. I know we said that earlier in the year, but then again, I had my anxiety breakdown, and Matt was busy at school, and yeah, so I did talk to her recently, and she does want to join us again to chat about I don't know something. I did have another
Well, it works
idea.
out really well because I like being present when we have guests on. It's really fun, but in other times it's like because of my schedule, it's really hard sometimes to set aside the time to dedicate to it. And we really are at an hour already. That like flew by.
I know
Like
Jonathan says he can save me. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. One of the things we are going to talk about in an episode coming up. I don't think it's gonna. It'll be a little bit for this episode comes out because this would be a fun topic. I guess we want summer episodes to be kind of fun episodes, or super fun episodes. Not that our others episodes aren't fun, but I was hearing something. And like, I guess is it like okay for you to sleep with your friends? Is that something that's normal? We don't have to talk about it now because we'll leave that for an episode. But I think it's an interesting topic to discuss and what other people's different thoughts are on if it's normal. Um, I feel like that would be a good episode with Bree because she would obviously make fun of me. She knows some of my past and my history. We did talk about a little bit off camera. Matt was present when we were talking about my time visiting Orlando um, and all of my friends. Jonathan says all of our episodes are great. Thank you, thank you. Also, everybody, go back if you have not. It's an important episode. It's one of our early episodes when we first started the podcast. But speaking of Pride Month, and we talk about, I'm going blank. One moment, please. It's a very important topic, I promise you, everybody. But I'm just going blank. Marsha P. Johnson. I didn't even look at that. I just went blank for a second. We have an episode where we talk about Marsha P. Johnson, and we obviously talk about the cold case surrounding her. But for
that
the
was our
whole
very first episode.
For the whole first part of the episode, we do talk about the importance that she played in Pride and just in the LGBTQ community in New York during that period of time, which is a very important time. So you can go listen to that, and if you don't want to listen to the crime part, you can stop it there. But we do talk about a lot of that.
We talk about what the known details are. We don't get graphic about it. We don't get
there's
overly
nothing.
graphic about we talk about what did happen. Like we don't shy away from that, but we don't dig into that part. We're not like speculating about blood splatter on a wall. Like it's not like that at all. So if you're concerned about the violence level, it is not excessive at all. It's just enough that we have to share what happened. That's all. It's not in any way meant to glorify it at all. Like this, just so y'all know, because I know I was told by some people that they would turn off our podcast after the first half so that they didn't have to hear about the violence because they thought it would be really graphic, and it's not super graphic. My favorite episode is Matt coming out story at the part when Matt's grandma was on the computer. Yep. She literally sat at the computer and was like, oh, yeah, I know. I was like, cool. But anyway, that's all I have.
Yeah, that's all I have. So again, if you haven't listened to it, check out our episode, Misconceptions About Sex. I'm going to keep
It
saying
hurts.
that.
Thank you all for joining. And Chris Pettis, it's so nice to see you.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to us actually having like 5 minutes of freaking talk. I'm sorry, I've been like super absent. And then this week just kind of like drove me farther down into like a rabbit hole of hiding and not wanting to like my social media account's already locked and I just wanted to delete all my social media and everything this week. I just wanted to fucking hide. But yeah, we'll get out of that. So, but I will see you guys hopefully next week.
Yes, everybody. And tune in next week. We have an episode with Dr. Jake Lock again, like I said, where we talk about sex stuff. A very informative episode that you'll want to be sure and check out. And of course, it's always great when Dr. Jake does join us and give us his expertise on different topics. But until then, everybody, and who knows, we may be back here Friday. We'll be sure and let you know ahead of time, Johnny. We'll post it on Twitter. We'll message you that it's going to happen or not. Even if we're doing it like last minute, we'll say we're on now or we're not doing it. But everybody, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you so much. And we will see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.